Hello everybody, welcome to episode 31 of the Braid and Tinker podcast. My name is Melanie and this is a video cast mainly about knitting. This is going to be a packed episode. I have quite a bit of finished objects. I went to the Oslo Knitting Festival past weekend and I have some photos and video footage of that and a ton of purchases. But I will talk about the Oslo Knitting Festival at the end of the episode and put the purchases at the very, very end, because I know not everybody enjoys watching things that other people buy. So I put in like a little warning so that if you just want to see the things that I have knit and am knitting, that comes first. So I just got back from Oslo last weekend, and of course I came home and immediately had like the flu. I did not feel good and I'm still kind of like congested and not super great, so I still have some I'm not wearing any makeup, and my excuse is that I feel too meh to put any on. So there you go. Let's start with finished objects. So this week, because I got back from the Oslo Knitting Festival with an absurd amount of yarn, I thought it's probably better to finish the objects, my works in progress, because otherwise, well, one, my needles are not empty, and otherwise I'm never going to finish them. They're just going to be languishing whips. So yeah, I finished most of the whips I had. Let's start with the Populuxe cardigan. This is a design by Andi Satterlund, and I knit this out of the leg warmers colorway from Bird Street UK yarn. It's a very pretty cardigan. It has lace detailing at the front, at the top, at the back at the top, and at the bottom at the front. Let's see if I can put that here. If there's noises coming, it's my son. He's downstairs playing, apparently with marbles, and they need to be shaken loudly. So, oh well. Super happy with this cardigan. I think it's very pretty. I do think it's not going to be warm enough for when it's really cold, so like today would be a perfect day for this because it's about 19 degrees. It might be too warm at the moment for this, but yeah, really happy with it. So hooray for that. My second finished object is a pair of socks. These are my autumnal socks. I knit this out of a skein of Lion brand yarn that I purchased in Canada last year, and I did some sort of offset, not offset, but so what I did was knit a whole row, and then the next row I would knit, I think it's 4, and then purl 2, knit 4, purl 2, and then the next row I would knit all of the stitches again. And I made them a little bit long because I want to have some buy some Dr. Martin boots for autumn, and then I like it if my socks are long enough because it's more comfortable in high boots. So I think these are going to be great. This is what I've mostly been knitting on when I was in Oslo. So that was a really good moment to finish a pair of socks. My last finished, okay, so I said this is going to be a super long packed episode, but apparently I can race through 3 finished objects in like 2 minutes. My last finished object is this pair of baby bloomers. Woo! These are the Petit Bloomers, and they are by Karen Borrell on Ravelry, and you can find her on Instagram as Oomieknits, so it's OOMIE and then knits. These are so cute. They have a little, I don't know what to call this. I just call this like an apple seed pattern, and there's an I-cord at the top, and it has, I can't see this, and it's my terrible nail polish. Sorry, I did not have time yet to fix that. It has these little leaf ends. Oh, sun's not really working. There we go. So cute. So there's two options in the pattern to do this. One is with the I-cord, and then you need to knit eyelets in the ribbing. The other is to make straps at the top that can close with a little button. And I was planning to do that one. And then at very last minute, I decided I actually really like the I-cord finish better. So the only problem was I didn't have the eyelet, because what you do is do some yarn overs to make larger holes in the ribbing. So I didn't do that because at the time when I was doing the ribbing, I thought I wasn't going to need it. So yeah, I just pulled the I-cord through the ribbing. It's not, I could have done this way neater and counted it maybe, but I also don't think it really matters. So I just pulled it through, it looks fine. I just think these are really cute, little flowery bits. So I'm going to gift these to my sister, who is very heavily pregnant, tomorrow. Yesterday was her birthday. I also am giving her these, the blueberry waffle socks, because I have finally blocked them and woven in all the ends. So these are also finished. So this little yarn bundle is for her. So it's cleaning up my little desk area quite well. My next thing is a cast on with yarn that I bought in Oslo, but I didn't actually buy it in the Oslo Knitting Festival, so I think I can talk about it separately. I went to the Pickles store, it's called Pickles, and I got these two yarns. This is their merino tweed, and it has like these little colour pops in it, and it is very soft and smells very sheepy. This is their pure wool yarn, and they had this on sale because of the Oslo Knitting Festival. I couldn't, the thing that I wanted to make, it uses two colours because it's a brioche shawl, and I couldn't decide between using either all merino tweed or all pure wool, so in the end I just decided to mix them. So the thing that I am making is the Marley Shawl by Andrea Mowry, and people who have been watching this podcast for a longer time will probably know that I have made the Marley Shawl in the past, quite a few years ago, and I made it out of, I think, Lana Grossa, some of their Meilenweit yarn, I think. And it's, the thing that it is like, it's a wool and cotton blend, and it's extremely stretchy, and I wear this shawl all the time, and I have been using it literally for years, and it is holding up so well. The only thing about that shawl that I like the colors, but I find sometimes I would like a more muted version of it, or different colors of it. But the shawl itself is perfect. It's a triangle shape. It's extremely wearable. The brioche makes it very squishy and warm. So yeah, it's definitely my favorite winter shawl. I love that thing. I take it everywhere. But I just wanted to have a different version with a slightly chunkier yarn. This is by no means chunky yarn. I would say this is like a sport weight, maybe a DK between those two, but yeah. So the other one, the one that I have, I knit that with the needles that are suggested in the pattern. And I didn't realize at the time that my gauge is quite a bit tighter than most people. And when I knit it the first time, I was really disappointed that it was so small. And so I finished it, and I was so disappointed that I actually, so what it is it's like a brioche triangle, and at the end you do like a garter, a mild garter border. It's extremely simple design, but it's very effective. It's very nice. And what I did then was I took out the garter border and I added quite a bit of the brioche to make the shawl longer than it was in the pattern, or at least so I knit more stitches to get to the length that was actually in the pattern. And I hadn't realized that this was because I knit quite a bit tighter. So now I'm using one size needle larger than in the pattern. And so with the slightly thicker yarn and the larger needles, it's actually going much faster, even though it's brioche. And brioche does take a little bit longer to knit than, say, garter stitch, because it is yeah, it's basically double knitting. So you knit one row in one color and then you knit the same row in the other color. And you have to move this is why you knit it on circular needles, because you have to take your work sort of back. You don't turn it around, you take your work back to the other needle and then knit the second color. There is a method called one pass brioche where you can knit with both strands at the same time. The only thing is that works really well when you do continental knitting, and I do English style knitting, and I have not found a video where someone explains it in a way that I find it comfortable to do with English style knitting. So I have not been doing that. Also, I think that the one pass brioche is very hard to impossible to do when you're doing increases, and this pattern does use increases to make large triangles. So this is where I am at the moment. These are my two balls. I got 4 in total because I remembered I needed quite a bit of yarn last time. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to need all of them, but you know, I don't want to run out of this yarn that you can get in Norway halfway through. So this is where I am right now. And the shawl will be the top straight edge like this, and then it'll be in a triangle like that way. So I'm already quite far. I really like how this is turning out. It's extremely squishy, and this is the back color. Well, the back color. This is the orange is the contrast color, and the green is the main color. It's also used for the garter border. So happy with this, and it's so fun to knit. And I have to say, brioche is, I don't knit brioche all the time, and I definitely had to go back and watch some videos to sort of, oh, how do I do this again? But as soon as I sort of had it in my brain, it's now become really mindless knitting. The pattern is not difficult at all. Every 4 rows you need to do decrease or increases here so that you can yeah, sort of increase from this middle part, and you do increases here as well and on the other end. So the only thing that I often forget is I do decreases in the first bit, decreases or increases in the first bit, increases in the middle bit, and then I'm at the last row and I completely forget, and then I go to the next row and I'm like, oh, I forgot to do increases again, and I have to think back, which is a little bit annoying. But yeah, super happy with this. It's more of an autumnal version of the Marley Shawl, and because it's more of a practical garment now, I think, or not a garment, but a practical shawl, I'm going to enter it for the Practical knit along that is being hosted by the Full and Vine podcast. So if you want to know more about that, I would check out her podcast. It's all about knitting practical garments, and it's going to run for quite a long time. So it's also fun to see what other people are knitting for that. You can check it out in the Ravelry group for that podcast. So yeah, that's what I'm knitting. It's in my fringe bag, and I have a little, the sun is a little bit annoying today. I have a little whip tag on my bag that I bought in Oslo as well. This was actually part of the knitting festival, Strikkefestival. And I have this little pin. This is a new one. I don't know if anybody watches Terrace House on Netflix, but it's this Japanese, it's almost like a dating show / Big Brother. And they have these young people who live together in a house, and then it's, videotaping their sort of day-to-day interactions. And then every so often they kind of cut back to the studio, and there are these, they're like judges, but there's no judging. Although there is judging, like there's a ton of judging, a lot of judgment. But no, like they don't get a score or anything. But it's so addictive, and Derek and I love watching that show. And they've recently released the new season outside of Japan, because it was already available in Japan for a couple of months, but Netflix has now released it for the rest of the world, and it's only 12 episodes. We've been watching so much of it, so we're almost halfway through this new season. But it's good because it's 12 episodes, and then they sort of like, the show continues to be recorded. So after a couple of months, you get more episodes. They sort of batch it. It's really fun. But this pin, so there is one from the very first season, like a couple of years ago. There was a episode where a girl and a boy, they were kind of like, do they like each other or not? That kind of stuff. And then I think she wanted him to ask him out, and then he didn't do that. And then she made this Japanese dish with rice and an omelette over it, and she wrote in ketchup "coward" on it. And it's like one of those iconic terrace house things. And then somebody made pins, and then I don't know, I had to have one. So I think I can talk about the Oslo Knitting Festival now. Do I have the book? Oh yeah. So this is the booklet for that festival. There were so many great vendors there. It was absolutely fantastic. Let me start at the beginning. Okay, so I went there. I flew there on my own on the Friday before. And I was planning to meet up with Julia from the Happy Knitting podcast and her friend Marion, and they were staying at the same hotel as I was. And so yeah, I went to the airport. Oh yeah, that was fun. I was in the airplane, and there was the one I was knitting, because I was knitting these socks. And like in the airport, I was just, because I was a little bit early, so I was knitting and having a coffee. And suddenly this like lady comes up to me, and she's like, "Can I touch your knitting?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." I have this happens. And then in the airplane, there was another lady sitting next to me, and she was like, "Oh, are you knitting socks?" And she started asking me all these questions, and she wanted to like touch it as well. And then she said, "Yeah, she and her husband, they were from the States, and they lived, I want to say Michigan, and they were going to Norway because they were going to do like a cruise with the fjords, like a fjord cruise." And she was saying that she was a weaver, and she wove these big things, and because suddenly she asked the stewardess, like, "Can you hand me my bag?" Because it was up in the luggage hold. And so she got her bag, and she got a phone, and she started like furiously looking for photos, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And she started showing me these like giant woven things, and they were so gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. And so apparently what she does is she weaves these ginormous sheets, I would say, of fabric, and then she sends them to her daughter who lives in France, and she makes them into designer handbags. And yeah, she sells them to fancy department stores in Paris and in Japan and stuff like that. So that was really, really interesting. And I think it was like Bags by Nicole or something like that. But I'll put the link, because I found the website, so I'll put the link in the description box, because I thought that was just so neat. So I had a long chat with her on the flight. Okay, and then I got to the airport, took the train to the city, met up with Julia and Marion, and then did we have dinner immediately? I think so, because it was starting to get late. Yeah, and then after that we just went back to the hotel, and we had like a little knit evening in the hotel lobby, which was really, really nice, because they had this really nice lobby area and you could just get drinks at the bar and stuff. So that was cool. And then the next day, Julie and I had breakfast, and that was really, really good. Oh my goodness. I mean, I know people say Danish pastries, but yeah, Norway has good pastry game. And after that we took the bus to the museum where the festival was held. And by this time I think it started to rain, and it basically rained all day. And I was so happy and pleased with myself that I brought my raincoat and my umbrella, because I'm usually like a total Dutch person, right? Like, it's not that bad, it's just rain, it's just little rain, I don't need anything. And I just thought, but if this festival, yeah, I probably do want to have like some stuff. So yeah, I'm really happy I brought my raincoat and my umbrella. And because and I hadn't realized this, but some of the festival was outside in the courtyard. There were booths outside, and it was raining quite hard at some point. So I was really happy that I was safe from the water. And so we walked around a whole bunch, and we at some point met up with Mina from the, I want to say expat knitting, but it's not that, it's the Knitting Expat podcast. And we had lunch with her. I had some really, really good pumpkin soup. Sorry, I know this is not a food podcast, but the pumpkin soup was pretty good. And then we knitted with her for a little bit. It was really, really, really nice. And then yeah, we went to some more shops, and I just bought some more yarn, and there was so much amazing yarn, which was really good. And I didn't sign up for any classes or anything, because I didn't really have a reason. I'm just too stubborn, I think. I usually think I already know how to do things because I look them up on the internet. and I have done classes in the past and they were super fun. I've done some classes at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. One was with Felicity Ford, and it was a super fun class. And it's really nice to just sit with a bunch of people, mainly ladies, and do some knitting together and learning some new skills. But for some reason I just didn't sign up for classes this time. And so we were walking around a bunch, and we also saw Ellie from Scandia Knits, which was like, I was a little bit starstruck. And I'm such an idiot, because when that happens I'm always like, oh, you're a person, hello, I don't know what to say. After that, a long day of walking around and buying yarn, we were tired, and Julia and I and Marion went back to the hotel. And Marion was also with a different friend, so she stayed with that friend at the hotel, and then Julia and I went out for dinner, had some burgers, really good. And then we went back to the hotel and we did like a little knitting thing in the hotel lobby again, which was really good. It's the reason I got these socks done so fast. I'm not sure I understand. I watch things so weird sometimes. Anyway. And then the next day they had a flight really, really early. I thought I had a flight at 4 o'clock. So I thought, ooh, I can just like lazily knit, and then at 12 o'clock I'll go to Pickles because that's when that opens, and buy some yarn there and just take my time. And you know, I went to Pickles, picked out the yarn for the Marley Shawl, I went back. I thought, I don't really have anything like that I want to do. I might as well just go to the airport and I'll have a ton of time and have a coffee and just find like a little nook to sit and do some knitting. Maybe do some shopping at the airport, whatever. And I get into the train to the airport and I look at my watch and I keep thinking, I wonder why Apple thinks that this flight is leaving at 2 o'clock. This was like 5 to 1. I wonder why Apple keeps thinking that I need to leave that my flight is at like 15 past 2, because I'm sure it's like 4 o'clock. Oh shit. And I'm checking my ticket. So I was at the airport about half an hour before my flight left. I don't like that. I like to be at the airport 2 hours in advance so that I'm on time, don't have to stress, go through security slowly. I don't have to check in a bag because I have a suitcase that is like you're just allowed to take it on the like in the area, the not check in the bag area. And suddenly I was finding myself going, oh God, I only have half an hour. And it was totally fine. I just rushed through security, had time to get a coffee, rushed to the gate, and they hadn't even started boarding yet. So but for like little 5 minutes, I was super stressed because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to miss my flight. It's going to be terrible. I'm going to be stuck in Norway forever, which was not going to be, it's not terrible, but yeah, at some point you do want to go home. But it was fine. I survived. I got my flight and that was it, really. I forgot one thing, and it's not part of the shopping haul part, so I'm just going to add this here. A friend of mine, a knitting friend of mine who has been doing a ton of brilliant designs but has never actually managed to put them on Ravelry, has this week put an amazing sweater design on Ravelry. It's called the Batwing formula, and it is by Atelier Majesta. The amazing thing is Majesta has decided to do a crowd-sourced testing, so it's crowd tested. What that means is that you can purchase the pattern now. It's not finished, it's not perfect, but the price point is lower. You can knit it, you can be added to a special group on social media and give her feedback on the pattern, but also you will be eligible for special discounts and coupons and things by some pretty decent high-level indie dyers. The list was pretty impressive, and yeah, as soon as she is happy with the pattern and it has been thoroughly tested, then that will end and the price will go up. So yeah, I mean, if you're smart, you will join the crowd testing and do that now. So yeah, I am definitely going to start these soon, because my only other whip is my Marley Shawl, because I was a smart girl and finished all my whips this week, which was really good. I'm really proud of myself. So I feel like I should be able to cast on something else. So that is coming. I do also, because Skandar Knits has dropped her Selbu Mitten Club this week, and it starts with a chunky mitten pattern. We have so much Alafos Lopi in this house that is waiting to be knit into mittens. So I'm probably going to start a mitten as well. So yeah, I have so many knitting plans, and you will see more of this when I get into my Oslo haul. But I'm just so excited about it. I love knitting and I love making knitting plans, and yeah. Okay, so now I'm gonna take you through my yarn shopping. If this is not for you, thank you so much for watching, and I don't know, check out my Instagram. It's at Braid and Tinker, because I have photos of my finished objects. Or subscribe for the next video, or subscribe to the channel, click on the bell to be notified of other videos. That's probably what I wanted to say. And if you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you again next time. So if you are like ready to stick around for all the yarn piggery, I totally understand, because I always want to see what other people have bought. This is going to get mildly crinkly, and I apologize for that, but I have a giant space saver bag in which I have all my yarn. I'll try and get this out from most crinkly to least crinkly, because I think that's better. I don't know. I got this sock kit. It's called the Waffle Puff socks. The design is by Satterlund Designs, which is Elizabeth, who is Norwegian. She was not at the festival, unfortunately, but she lives in Bergen, which is a totally different city in Oslo, in Norway. And I think they have their own knitting festival at the end of this month, I believe. I could be wrong, but oh well. But I thought the socks were really, really cute. I really think the name Waffle Puff is super, super cute. And because it sounds like Hufflepuff from Harry Potter. And I could just, let me just open this. This is Simra Garn by Tailorspin. And I got this at their booth. This is a good chunk, if not all of this, I'm pretty sure it's not all of it. A good chunk of this yarn is mohair goats. So it's extremely fluffy and also shiny. And it's still very, you can still feel like the sort of lanolin. It's still a tiny bit greasy. And I really, really like this stuff. This is not the only Tailorspin yarn that I bought. This is their logo. It's a little goat, a little mohair goat. So cute, such cuteness. So I got a sweater's quantity of Rauma, or Roma as apparently people in Norway pronounce this, in one of their new fall colours. And this is the kind of greeny gold colour, and the colourway number is 4129, so it's 4129, and I got a bag full of that. Currently my plan is to knit this into a Spellman sweater. Next sweater's quantity. This is not Norwegian yarn, this is British yarn. I don't think it matters. This is a sweater's quantity of Gartenor number 2 in their Jacob wool. And yeah, I don't know. I walked into the area where this was and I was so drawn to this marled yarn. My plan is to make this into a simple raglan sweater. I think that would be nice. I really like this. This is Anna's Angora, which is 80% Angora yarn, 20% merino. This lady had, she has her own Angora bunnies, and they shave them 4 times a year and then spin the yarn into this. And they had a bunch of samples. Also, if you want to sell me something at a yarn show, make samples, because I am all over that and I will just buy anything. They had these hats and they were so super soft and fluffy. And so I asked her, does this produce this said hat? And she said, yes, it is the same stuff. But when you work with it, it becomes even fluffier than it already is. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, so this is Anna's Angora, and it is, I think, the softest thing I have held in my life. And I don't know, I think the colour is really pretty as well. Love this. So I went to the Tailorspin booth for the Waffle Puff sock kit, but I also got some of the, because that's the Simre garn, and then this is the Mari garn. Is that, there we go. You can't read it. It's called Mari garn, and I got 2 skeins of that, a black one and a blue one, and I'm going to knit 2 hats out of this. The black one for me because it's black and cool, and then blue for Derek because blue is a really good colour for Derek, so need to get on that. Of course I went to the Ching Fibre booth and bought this. I bought 3 speckled yarn skeins. One doesn't count because it's for my sister. It's this one from Garn Sur, so it doesn't count, it's not there. One is Ching Fibre in their super soft DK, and it is in fact super soft, and I want to make a hat out of this for myself because I think the colour would be nice. The other speckled yarn that I bought for myself is this, also from Garn Sur, and what's this colour called? Jord de Plu. I have no idea what that is. Jord de Plu is how I imagine someone from Norway would pronounce that. But I love this because it reminds me of a forest, and I love autumn and all things forest, so this is amazing. And I'm thinking about designing a pair of socks with this. Will that ever happen? We'll see. Italian yarn from Norway, and it's called La Nivendole, and it is 60% Brogna wool. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's a type of sheep. 20% alpaca, 20% mohair, and it's really soft, but you can feel that is like grippy enough for color work. So I love this, and I want to make those into the, oh, I should have put, I was thinking, oh, I need to put a marker in this. Oh, I found it, finally. It's like the first time I've actually found this really fast. I want to make these mittens with this yarn. So I think that will be, does that, I really like this these mittens. Can I give you the name? They are the Vandria mittens, and they are designed by Leila Henriksen, and if memory serves me correctly, she is the owner of the Farbit store. So I was actually planning to get a whole bunch of stuff from Farbit because when Derek was in Norway in May, he actually went to that store and he got me some tailor spin from Garn Sur, which was like amazing. So and he got some Hillersvåg that was hand dyed by the Farbit people, and I thought, oh, that's really, really nice. For some reason at the booth at the festival, there was nothing that really spoke to me. So this just means that I have to go to Oslo again at some point in my life and just go to the store and buy something there. Norna yarn stall, and I got this set to make the point shawl, which is a brioche design by Julie Knits in Paris, and I have been looking at this shawl quite a bit in the past, and they had a sample knit at the booth and I just was all over it, and so I was just like grabbing skeins together to see if it was the one that I wanted to knit the shawl in. In the end I chose this, and so the this colorway is called Fenrir, and this colorway is called Freyr, which I think, if you know your Norse mythology, those names will make sense. Stephen West has a new mystery knit along coming on that will start at the beginning of October, and Julia and Marion were going to do knit that shawl, and I'm usually not a mystery knit along person because I want to know what I'm going to make, but they somehow seem to convince me. I'm sure it took like a really long time to convince me to do any sort of knitting, but I thought I would just buy some of the West wool, which was there. And this is their bicycle yarn, and it's 10% Tessel yarn, which is a Dutch sheep breed. Tessel is not soft. It's like a Brillo pad basically, and so I can understand that they sort of like put 10% of it in to make it sound Dutch, and then had to plump in 90% of Falkland merino to make it even usable for knitting garments and shawls. But so I got this combination. Apparently I got this combination, and the sort of assignment or yarn instruction that you get for the Stephen West mystery knit along was get 4 skeins, 2 colours, and they have to be contrasting. I think these are contrasting. I think it's contrasting enough. I didn't do bright Stephen West colours because I'm all about the adult colours at the moment. As you can see, green sweater quantities, grey sweater quantities. I think like green and grey was obviously on my brain this whole trip. This and the Rauma and the Garthenor, and yeah. But this grey colour is called oh, it's the Canal House. And this is called Lichen. I really like these. I did think for a little while, because they had some like light pink, light ballerina pink, a little bit like my this is the Leg Warmers colorway by Birdsry UK. I was thinking, ooh, I do like pink and grey together also. But in the end, I just decided on these. So yeah, really happy with this. I'm excited about this mystery knit along, and I'm also excited because I have project boxed these 4 skeins of yarn, but the project doesn't start yet because the mystery knit along doesn't start until the beginning of October. Beginning of October. So technically this is not stash. This is a work in progress, where the progress is not dependent on me, but on the mystery knit along to actually start. So yay. See, that's the end of the shopping haul. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Braid and Tinker podcast. Again, if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you'd like to be notified about future uploads, you can click on the bell icon, and you can also follow me on Instagram. I'm at Braid and Tinker, and I usually post in my stories when a new video has been uploaded. So yes, thank you, and I hope to see you again next time, and enjoy your knitting.